Hey everybody, this is Tim with Fly Tie Friday from Tacky Fly Fishing. Thanks for joining us again. I'm going to be tying today a super simple pattern. We recently tied a different type of midge, a dry fly. This may be one of the most productive flies on earth. Frankly, it might be one of the simplest too. I don't think that's any coincidence at all. We simply use a hook. I use some red thread for this specific tie, but most folks will use black, some peacock herl, and some hackle. If you haven't guessed yet, we're going to tie the Griffith's Gnat today. So again, we start with red thread. Just get that wrapped on the hook. Now that we're at the back of the fly, we're simply going to load everything we kind of tie up with, and I like to use a couple pieces of herl. This is a size 18 hook. These things will go much smaller actually, but I've actually found you can usually fish them in bigger sizes, and fish tend to be just fine with that. When they're eating midges, I find that a lot of times they're looking for the biggest of the lot that they can eat, or really they're just looking to eat any of them that they can see. Now traditionally they'll tie with a couple different colors of hackle, kind of a bronze or rust color, and then a typical grizzly hackle. There's lots of variations of this, but we're going to stick with a more classic variation here. And we just tie those two pieces of hackle in at the post, or at the anchor point of the feather that we've created. We just tie up, and now we take our peacock herl and simply wrap this. And you got to be super careful with this material. If you haven't used it before, it is very susceptible to breakage, especially when you're wrapping down by where the hook is. It takes hardly anything and you're gonna break that sucker off. So I always like to use two as well as I'm wrapping these, because I just find that you're always very likely to break one, and if you do, your fly doesn't need to be deconstructed and reconstructed again. So now once you get this up close to the eye, simply tie that off. Okay, now you've just got a peacock body there. You notice it's not 100% perfect, but it's okay because we're going to cover it up with some hackle now. I like to run through first with the rust colored hackle and just kind of barber pull this up. On a size 18 hook, I try to get 4-5 times around is all. Okay, now we've got our first set of hackle there. Come back through now with our grizzly hackle to kind of finish the look. Get that hackle off at the front. Okay. Captured a little bit of that hackle underneath the eye there. That's not ideal. So I'll clip that off. Okay. Now at this point it's pretty straightforward. We've got the majority of the bug is pretty much done. Just go through and whip finish. That fly is absolutely deadly. It's about as simple as they come, and it catches fish like crazy. So hope you enjoyed this week's Fly Tie Friday. Super simple pattern. The Griffith's Gnat, maybe among the most classic of all dry flies that are out there. Go ahead and tie them up. I'd love to hear any stories you guys have about using them. Yeah, make sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll look for you next week. Thanks, guys.